It's a sunny day. You just bought your dream house on one income with a simple savings account. Your future? Safe, secure, guaranteed. At least, that's how it used to be. Back then, playing the money game was simple. Save money, build wealth. But what if I told you those rules were quietly rewritten? And the ones who changed them, they don't want you to notice. Because if you don't know why they're keeping it from you, you've already lost. Saving money is the most common financial advice there is. You heard it from TV, your co-workers, even your grandparents. From childhood, we're conditioned to believe saving is the smart thing to do. For a new phone, for a rainy day, it feels right, it feels responsible. But is it still true? For past generations, saving money actually worked. Home prices were reasonable, wages kept up with living costs. Inflation was low, so money kept its value longer. Interest rates, the cost of borrowing, were high, often exceeding inflation. Meaning, you could put money in the bank, let it grow, and actually buy more with it later. Everyone benefited. People, as their wealth grew effortlessly, banks, as they had plenty of deposits. Governments, as a stable economy made governing easier. To this day, they still push the same advice. Save money, be responsible. But here's the catch. Those rules were built for a world that no longer exists. So what changed? When did the rules flip? And more importantly, why? After the Second World War, the Western world fully embraced manufacturing innovations. Factories ran 24/7, wages grew, the middle class thrived. It was the golden era of economic growth. Governments kept their debt low, and every dollar was backed by gold. Until it wasn't. The year is 1971. President Nixon steps onto live television.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
In that moment, money stopped being real. The US dollar was no longer tied to anything solid. Governments could print as much as they wanted. And that's exactly what they did. Then came the oil crisis. Inflation exploded. Factories shut down. Middle-class jobs disappeared. The government was trapped. They had two options. First, they could invest in infrastructure, boost productivity and raise taxes. A slow and sustainable approach, but politically unpopular. Second, take a shortcut. Borrow more instead of raising taxes. Print more money. Keep interest rates low to encourage people to borrow and to service the ever-growing government debt. This would immediately boost the economy by kicking the can down the road. Guess which road they chose? Debt officially became the engine of growth. The economy flipped overnight. Factories didn't make goods anymore, bank made debt. Credit cards replaced salaries. Saving money became as outdated as a VHS tape in a Netflix world. For the average person, that meant one thing. You could no longer save your way to wealth. Your parents could, your grandparents could, but you'd have to play a different game. Imagine working 40 hours a week, diligently putting money in the bank, only to realize a decade later that your savings buy you less than before. And that's exactly the point. Remember when I said they don't want you to know this? Now you see why. If people woke up and realized their savings were a mirage, confidence in the system would shatter. And when trust breaks, the whole economy collapses. That's why they can't let it happen. That's why they keep the illusion alive. But how long can they keep it going? If the only thing holding it together is more debt, how much longer before it snaps under its own weight? When that happens, there's only one way out, and it's not pretty. Nobel Prize winner economist Milton Friedman said, "Inflation is a disease, a dangerous and sometimes fatal disease, a disease that if not checked in time can destroy society." And for many nations, that's exactly what happened. Like in 1923 Germany, when the government decided to pay for World War I reparations by printing huge amounts of money. By November, $1 was equivalent to 4.2 trillion German marks. People carried entire wheelbarrows of money just to buy groceries. Prices doubled every few hours, and by the time you finish drinking a coffee, it might already cost twice as much. Or take Yugoslavia in the 90s, where the government printed money recklessly on top of a province leader issuing $1.5 billion in loans to his buddies, essentially rug-pulling the entire country. The prices grew so fast, leaving people with worthless paper instead of their money. It got so crazy that accountants couldn't do their jobs, because their calculators couldn't handle numbers that large. Inflation erased the life savings of entire nations. And while the US likely won't face that level of crisis, inflation is eating away at your money. Slowly. Silently. The bad news? You can't rely on savings anymore. The good news? There are still ways to fight back. Let's go over some of them, because, trust me, each one deserves its own discussion. Invest in stocks and ETFs. Companies raise prices to match inflation, which often leads to stock market growth. Low-cost index funds, like S&P 500 ETFs, help hedge against inflation. Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS for short. These adjust with inflation, protecting your purchasing power. Real estate and gold are hard assets protected against inflation. And you don't actually have to buy real gold bars. Just search for a precious metals ETF in your investment app. Fixed-rate loans and mortgages. If rates are low, locking in a fixed mortgage means inflation will work for you instead of against you. Keep in mind that these investments don't always perfectly track inflation and have their own risks, but they're better than watching your money rot away in a savings account. So will we ever return to the old way? Or are we stuck in a system designed to fail? To break the cycle, quite a few things need to happen, like responsible spending by the government, real productivity growth, and stronger regulations on financial speculation. Unfortunately, unless a major financial crisis forces change, we're likely stuck in a debt-based system. Now you know the truth. The old rules don't work. And if you don't adapt, you'll be left behind. The system isn't changing. So the only question left is, will you?